think City of Edinburgh has definitely opportunities. We have the Bird Ogden Arena. We have I think DHR Convention Center. I mean, we got several spots. It doesn't have to be in McAllen. That's the thing is I think FAR has some type of convention center as well. I mean, every city has something where a large gathering can happen. So I think any of these brands that are out there that have the connections, I think would definitely work. And I think maybe you're right. I mean, I think the best way to do it is that in conjunction with a partnership with people of different brands. That
you kind of have to because it's a big undertaking, right?
It
Like it takes a lot of work to plan it, coordinate it, make it happen. And it's that may be one of the reasons why we don't do it here anymore. It's kind of daunting on one or a few people. So definitely being able to spread that load across several folks will make it easier to do.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, taking the heads of the guys on the Hunters Expo.
That's right.
We'll
see.
I mean, those guys have done a hell of a job.
Oh yeah,
They've
awesome.
done a great job, and it's every year. I mean, honestly, I don't think I have a complaint of that show. In regards, as a vendor, I mean, everything is there. Parking, everything. I mean,
that's some of the feedback we hear, like from Houston, right? Like from going to the Houston Fishing Show, like it's downtown, so you have to pay for parking, you have to pay to get in, and by the time you're in it, right? So
I think that's any big city. I think that's the beauty of the valley is that we're not there yet, and hopefully we never get there. But yeah, I mean, there's so much parking, there's so much everything. I mean, I think it's like $15 to get in, something like that. I mean, it's not too bad, and I think the Houston show was about the same. But like you said, parking, the walking, all that stuff just adds to it. But it was a great show, man. It was a really good show, and we just love kind of going out there. And it's one of those things I told my wife. Like she asked me, like, well, "Why do you do Houston if you don't have any stores up there?" It's like, well, we're trying to infiltrate Houston.
You may have a store coming.
As I was saying, like hopefully, you saturate them for the next 4 or 5 years, and they keep seeing this brand, and they'll ask you like, okay, they'll give you an opportunity. It's kind of hard to give an opportunity for to someone who doesn't have a name out there. And again, as store owners, we know that. It's shelf space. Shelf space costs money. And yes, you want to get that opportunity just the way we did. We got the opportunity. From several vendors in the beginning, but it's one of those things that it's hard to take that chance on somebody who doesn't have a product that's like wow. If it doesn't wow you, it's one of those things where you don't know if you want to take a chance to them or not.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean that's the beauty of going to Houston is that you just kind of introduce your product, to these people in Houston and Katy and those areas, and they have a lot of big stores out there. FTU is a big one. Anglers Anonymous is another one. There's a lot of good stores out there that you want to be in, and that's when you say you cross the checkpoint, man.
That's right.
That's what you want to do. But I know one thing I did want to talk about, and it's one of those things where I think we have to do that with each other as brands and so forth. But JRZ is doing a hell of a job.
Oh yeah, he's doing a really amazing job.
I finally we had a longer time to talk, had more of a conversation. And he's not as much of a jerk as I thought. He's a pretty cool guy.
You had to go all the way to Houston to figure that out.
I did, man. He lives here. I'm just joking, Jerry. But we had a really good time, man. And that's the beauty of it, bro. It's like you kind of meet people in a different light, and you get to know their real personalities, man. And Jerry's a great guy, and his product, man, is freaking doing amazing.
He sold out like ridiculously fast, like on blades. Yeah, he did really well.
And he told me from the get-go. I think Aaron told me it wasn't even him. He's like, man, we only brought 85 blades. And I'm like, only? Like, it seemed like a lot because, I mean, he explained the way they did it and all this stuff. Like, I took you a long time to do it, man. And I want to say Wednesday afternoon, he was down to like 20. I'm like, oh, shit. That was at $25, $30 a pop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's pretty damn cool. I mean, for that to happen to a Valley company. And that's why I say, we have to talk about these guys and kind of mention them and kind of, just support each other. But that's awesome for a Valley boy, and yes, and I hate to say it that way because I always feel like when I say that, like, oh, we're not meant to succeed, but it doesn't happen very often, man. Like from down here to have a brand grow that large, or get these opportunities he's getting. I don't know if he's announced what he meant by that, got the call, but he told us about it, and it's like, it was very, very impressive.
Yeah, it's really exciting for him. He's doing an awesome job, and he's a great product. And like you said, like we got to hang out and then see him in a different light after a few beers. We actually went out and had dinner with him one of those nights too. So it was him and his entire crew. It's fun. Like it was cool. Like getting together and like just in a different context, and just whatever. And again, like I was kind of joking a little bit when you said we had to go all the way to Houston to do that, right? But we're right here, so we continue to do that while we're down here. So
and that's the thing. I mean, and you said it perfectly. Like I think the more that the local community supports each other, the more successful you're going to be because, we don't make lures, and it's like, well, why wouldn't we push him when we go talk to certain people? Same thing with TNT and AM and those guys. Why wouldn't we push these local guys? Especially if the product is good and we use a product. Hey, man, like make them succeed. At the end of the day, like I see it as, I don't know what country it is, but they talk about that those people who buy those stores. I don't know, they're Pakistani or what they are, but their motto is, "Oh, you succeed, and you got to make sure the next one succeeds after you." And it's a really cool
pay
thing.
It forward,
yeah, and it's a really cool thing. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not going to find somebody to make a business for them, but I mean, just as simple as saying like, "Hey, this product does really well, and these guys are doing really well." You mentioned that when you're out there, if somebody talks about you're going into a store and somebody talks about, "Hey, who do you recommend?" You talk about these people, man, and they're the people from our area, and it's just so cool to see the success that he had. When we would take a break and walk around, like we saw a lot of people at his booth, and it's awesome. It's awesome to see that, and he's a great guy. And again, when you're a good person, obviously you want to see him succeed.
Yeah.
And Jerry definitely is one of the good ones, man. So I think that was really cool to see up there in the Houston, away from our area. And for us, people have asked us and told, "Hey, where are you all from?" And we kind of talk about it, and still for year 4, I think it was, and it's very hard to compete, and I don't know if we'll ever have an easy time, but it's very hard to compete against these businesses, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of them out there, and it's just, sometimes it's intimidating, but it's one of those things where you have to go in there with that confidence that you're going to do well, and obviously you always want to do well. But it's intimidating, man, to see these people and see these groups, and it's like, man, can I compete against that?
Yeah, you got to chip at it one day at a time, like little by little, right? It's not like something you just come up, right? You got to do it like year 1, year 2, year 3. And you got to keep steady at it, right? Because there's times that anything you're doing that it's easy to say like, well, this isn't working out, right? It's easy to quit. It's easy to back out, and you got to be, you got to work through that and get your success 2-3 years down the road.
Yeah, and it's cool. I mean, you've always said this, when we start a project, it's like, what is the goal? What is the end in mind? And, several years, I think, and I always refer to baseball, even I don't know shit about baseball, but I always refer to, how'd y'all do? It's like, yeah, we got to third base, and like, to me, like, that's good. Maybe we didn't hit a home run this time, but we got to third base, and I know that first Wednesday, man, oh my God, I think everybody was shitting bricks, man, because it was Valentine's Day, it was Ash Wednesday, and, I think we can count the amount of people that walked through there. So we were hoping it wasn't a bad move to move from March to February. Yeah. And I know apparently they did it because they didn't want to compete against the Houston Rodeo, and that's humongous.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it would hit in the weekends of the rodeo, so we would lose a little bit of population. But I don't know I don't know how I feel about moving it to February. Like, I don't know if it did better or worse. It's one of those things where we went in there with a different mindset this year. I think we did something a little different where we would always take a lot of product, a lot of different designs, especially with the shirts and the apparel. And this year we kind of brought it down a little bit, but we went more of the embroidery. We did more of the simpler items, and I don't think it was a bad move, but it was different, so. I don't know which effect it was.
Yeah, when you're when you're running a business, it's one of the things you always have to worry about is like working capital, right? So where's your money tied up in, and where are you investing in? And we the fewer, I guess, like for us, like we got a print shop, we got a rod shop, like there's a lot of different areas we can put our money in, and so we got to be really intentional when it comes to like this is what we were going here, and we can do this, but it prevents us from doing this, or we can do this and we do that, right? So you really got to assess your trade-offs between making investments and what you're going to expect to get in. And you're right, we did something different, and part of that was because we're trying to figure out where we had capital, where we had stuff tied up for the print shop orders that we had, and so. But I agree. Like I think we go out there and we take what we have, and we try to focus in on things that we thought would be successful, and I think we had some that were really successful. And so we'll build off of those and continue that year to the shop and to the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I think one of those biggest things, when it comes to like, you can't always, I guess, base success on capital or how much you made. Yeah. 'Cause I think this year we didn't make as much as we have in previous years, but I think we did sell a lot more shirts because we had a lot of shirts on sale. we had a lot of $10 shirts, $5 shirts. So to me, like, if we want to chip away at that market and kind of get our name in that market, I think that was a good move.
Yeah.
Because now, they may have bought the shirt just for $5, but they're still wearing the brand. And there's still more. I mean, I think we're close to 300-400 shirts, and that's how many more people are wearing them out there.
Yeah, and for those people that come by, like they come and have a conversation with you, right? They come and talk to you, and they talk to you, and they take a sticker, and whatever, and so you at least start chipping away and building that relationship there, and that relationship will be there next year, right? And so definitely this year's mindset was like, let's focus on let's focus on taking a lot of the new stuff around, like some of the things that we think is going to be successful, and then let's take a lot of stuff out here that we've had over the last years and try to put that and liquidate it. And some of that's the way it goes, and we build this relationship with folks. And next year when we have the refocusing, and it'll be different next year.
Yeah, and I think it's cool. I mean, obviously having this conversation because one thing we did get a couple of brands kind of come over. He's like, man, when did y'all start? How long have y'all been around and stuff like that? And it's always cool to kind of give them that advice so that they don't have those little growing pains. And it's awesome to kind of be able to give that advice and to be able to do that, and it makes me feel good, to kind of hopefully somebody doesn't have to go through that small growing pain, and they'll get more successful faster, because it's still, I mean, obviously you have to go through some of the growing pains because you're not going to know it all. We don't know it all. We're still trying to sometimes, it seems like we're trying to reinvent ourselves and it's like, who are we, who aren't we? And then we kind of go back and say, okay, we know who we are. We just got to make sure we work on it. But it's really cool that I think conversations like this would help people out, to understand like, hey, you're not always going to stick to that same road. You got to go and try these different roads that you may not, know if it's going to work or not, And I think with us, with the shirts you all see behind us, with the embroidery and stuff, and I had one lady kind of make a comment I had stuck in my head. She's like, man, you guys were the only one that had a fish with your brand. And I didn't understand what that meant. She's like, yeah. He goes like, I'm not saying I wouldn't wear your brand by itself. He goes, but why am I going to promote you just for no reason? He goes, I need to like the shirt. Like, you can't just say 7-Day Addiction and I'm going to wear it because it says that. And it makes sense, but at the same time, we think, and the way kind of, we've thought about it, it's like, well, I wear it with Nike, like, like, I mean, well, shit, this shirt, it's one of those things where, but a lot of times you just have to really know what the customer is going to want. Is it a cool design? Is it a flashy design? Is it simple? There's so many variables, man.
Yeah, and so one of the things I've learned over the last few years too is like the design's not enough, right? Like you take the design and put it on a shirt that doesn't feel good, and people aren't gonna like it, right? And so and then you take one design and put it on like 3 different colors, and only one of those colors is a hit, right? And it has to do with just the entire package, right? The package is like the feel, the comfort, the colors, and just everything out there. So I saw it there firsthand. Even at this show in Houston, we had one design, and like in one specific color, and like that hat, like people were gravitating to it. We had the same hat in a different style hat, and like people would pick it, and like I think it's so like probably like 10 to 2, right? 10 to whatever, and it's just like so it's how it's all packaged together. So it's one thing I've learned a lot about, specifically here, and you take one design, you're like, okay, well maybe this design did really well, and this other hat did really well, and you mix them together, and they don't because they don't combine to make the entire package correctly.
Yeah, and it's funny because you're so confident, like me, like when obviously when we come up with these designs, and I see these designs, and to me, like, obviously it's hard to be happy or impressed or however you want to say it about your own stuff because I mean you're your hardest critic. But there's certain designs that I see and like, man, this is it. Like, we came up with something that's gonna hit. I go out there, we literally sell 2 shirts. I'm like, God damn, like, am I that bad? But you said, like, if you don't put it on the right garment, you don't put it on the right feeling shirt, because we've done some T-shirts, and we'll sell a few. They're like, hey, you're not gonna do a fishing shirt or long sleeve? I'm like, God damn, like, we didn't like it last time, But it's just different, man. And you I don't think you're ever gonna hit it. But it's just a matter of
well, you will. You got to be patient. You got to know that, you got to know that you got to test it, right? And like it takes time and money really to test it, right? So instead of making like if we knew this one design was going to be successful, we would have done everything on that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But we would have gotten that data had we not done these 3 different tests, right? It's like an ABC test, right? Whatever. You compare them to one another, and you say, hey, this is the winning combination. So you take these shows and you use them as an opportunity to really test out your different new products and say, okay, this one really hit. Okay, we're not going to do this one anymore. We're going to focus on these moving forward. Yeah. So that's the other thing it allows us to do.
No, for sure. And I think, I mean, the other reason I kind of want to get on here as well is just to kind of, I saw this in other brands, and, for us, like, these designs have stories. They do have different things. They do have, and in particular, like the embroidery ones, yeah, they're simple, redfish, it's a simple trout, or, whatever it is. But when I thought of actually making these things, they had a meaning behind it. And I think people knowing that meaning and knowing that understanding, is important. And I saw this from a guy, and it was really, really cool, to kind of know why. And it kind of gives you, like, okay, I'm going to go buy that shirt because I know the meaning now. So with the shirts behind us, especially, two of them that we had, it was cool to have that story with these people. And, the redfish. And to me, it's like just simple redfish. That's all it is, or not to me, but to other people, you see the redfish, just a redfish. But if you look on our website, it's called Mr. Red. And obviously, we wrote that song about it.
Thank you, Mr. Red.
Yeah, and the reason that I came up with that song, my dad has a habit, I guess, to put Mr. in front of it, of everything. And, I had a dog named Jake, and he would call him Mr. Jake. And Blake, my son, calls him Mr. Blake. He just has that little habit. And when we'd go fishing, he would say that, come here, Mr. Red, and so that kind of prompted me to kind of always have that Mr. Red in my mind. But when I wear that shirt, that's what I think about it. And it's true, like the song that says, you go out there to fish, and we talked about it with several guides over there, and like you go out there to fish and you may not always catch, but it's that experience and those memories you're creating. And, a lot of times, under my breath, I'll say, thank you, Mr. Red, because I don't go fishing as often as we want to, man. But when you do catch that red, man, it does last for a little while. But again, on that particular one, that's,
like for anyone who hasn't heard the song, like we have it posted somewhere, like on one of our YouTube pages, so. And I think one of our guys helped us sing it. And like for me, like the song resonates, and it hits in so many different levels. Like for us, like really the basis of the song is you're thanking the redfish for all the memories and times that it's given you, right, with your loved ones. And it's more than just fishing, right? And it's your appreciation to the fish.
Yep.
for facilitating that, right? So you're out there targeting these fish, but like you said, it's never really about the fish. It's always about the experiences and the memories that you have, and really it's instead of saying like, well, it was great fishing, like no, you're thanking the red for making that possible. And I really love that song. It's really good.
And it was really cool because we talked. Who's the guy that we were talking to? That maybe it was Noe. That we talked about that. It's like, man, people aren't going to pay you $400 or $500 to go catch a fish. Like,
that's right.
They're not paying you for that. They're paying you for the experience. And we're talking about the limits and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I mean, they may affect it or whatever. Like, I had one guy tell me, like, I hope we don't lose business or whatever. And it's like, dude, like, I'm not going to pay you $500-600 to go catch 3 trout. I can pay that at Walmart, or wherever, we're paying you $400, $500, $600 so we can go enjoy a good time.
That's right.
And catching the fish is just a bonus, and so I think with shirts like that, like when I wear it, I mean, they have a meaning to it, and I guess that's what kind of gives you that confidence. Like, oh yeah, it's gonna do well, and then you go out there and you sell one. But the other one also was the one behind me. I think the duck one. That's the one where people would see it, and then they would see like, oh, look at the duck. I was like, well, look closer. Like, oh shit, there's a red in there. And so that was really cool for someone, when we designed this stuff, for somebody not to see something, especially a lot of the designs that we have, I would go out there like, do you see all 3 fish? And they're like, well, what 3 fish? And it was a turtle. It's like, there's no fish in there. And they'd see it like, oh shit, yeah, it is. And they'd buy it just for that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, this one. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, actually, that's a hat that did really well. Like, just that color combination of that hat, I really can't get it any closer. But
yeah, so that one basically,
I got T-Rex hands right there too. So it's like, this is as long as they go. But
that one is basically, so the duck is the main thing. And honestly, when I created that,
it looks like a duck. Like, actually, most people from seeing it from here, like, that's probably what they see.
Yeah, that's the first thing they see.
That's the only thing they see. So.
And when I first made it, I didn't realize how big duck hunting was down here. And I can't wear that hat. I've never killed a duck. But when I thought about it, I was like, man, maybe duck hunting is popular down here in the valley. But I just kept going back to, like, I need to put a redfish in here. I need to put something in there because I don't.
Something I can relate to.
Yeah, something exactly. And I couldn't really relate to it. And slowly, as I was drawing it up, like, that redfish kind of showed up in there. And I said, I might as well just put it. And the reason it came from, And man, I can't remember what buddy told me that. That somebody would tell him like, oh yeah, you got to be law abiding, and it was land, air, and water. I'm like, oh shit, that's pretty cool. And this was even way before I think I even started the brand. Um, and then that resonated with me. It's like law abiding law. And I mean, that's pretty cool. And then Texas Law, I think it's called the Warden Show that they have. And I'm like, man, if I make this, maybe somebody on the show can wear it. But again, it makes sense. Law, land, air, and water. So that's why you have the obviously the deer, the duck for air.
You didn't talk about it, but it's got like some deer antlers.
Yeah, so on the bottom, I mean, you can see here, obviously the redhead is more, as far as they told me, I don't know. Redhead is one of the more popular ducks down here in the valley and down in the southern region. And then,
yeah, for sure.
So then you have that redhead there, and then of course here the eye of the duck and the eye of the red is the same. So you see that redfish coming here, and then down in the bottom, that was honestly almost like an afterthought, but it kind of it kind of threw in there, So
you got to get the land part of it.
Exactly,
right?
You can't just put law. It would have been awe.
Texas awe. That sounds pretty good.
It does. That sounds cute. Aw. But it's one of those things, man, where that design did really well. And like you said, some people picked this up. I thought the green one was going to do a lot better.
Or the camo one too.
Yeah, that's true. And they didn't. They picked this little. I don't know, man. I'm not a teenager, dude, and that's because this shit is old. This is an old style grandpa type of cap, and a lot of the new kids and the young kids.
Oh yeah, like this style of hat, like it's just it was hot. Like,
it was. I know Andy Ramos put one on, and he's like, I look like an idiot. I didn't want to say it, Andy.
Well, it's not the hat though.
But that particular hat did really well, man, and the Texas Law design. Yeah, we apologize, Andy. I have his both though, so I don't have to apologize too much. But yeah, I mean the Texas Law brand or design was one that did really well, and really really happy, how it came out, and it's so cool to. I know my buddy A-Rod was there helping us out, and I would see him pointing at me. I was like, "What the hell you want, dude?" And he was talking to a customer, and the customer would come over. Did you come up with this? The guy did. Like, oh man, I just wanted to thank you, or shake your hand. Or they're like, I feel like a celebrity. I was like, yeah, man. What do you want? Again, they would ask me like, how'd you come up with it or whatever. Like, I just do it. Like, I didn't go through that long story because we had a good amount of customers we were talking to. But it's really cool to have another customer, another person appreciate the design.
Oh, the little kid.
Oh man, that was so cool. I mean, and that's because he paid, dude. Actually his parents paid, but the kid came with money all excited, and he's like, "This is the coolest hat I've ever seen." And I'm like, "That's so cool." For an 11-year-old, it's gonna give you the truth, man. An adult might lie to you, so you can give him a discount, but
that's right.
This guy was pretty fired up, and it was really cool to kind of hear that from him. But this one got that reaction, and it's one of those things. This was one of the designs that I thought, and I think you liked it from the beginning when we had the full sub shirt.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But that full sub shirt didn't always do very well.
Yeah, again, like it goes how it's all packaged together, right? It's like some people you got to understand the entire package, right? And it just like for me, like that's one thing I've learned is like what does the final assembly look like, right? You can take something really good, and honestly, I've done some thinking about it, right? And not just this, but just things in general. But like I look at it like a chef, right? A chef, you could have like a really pristine chef, and have all the fine ingredients, and maybe the chef's not as good, and things don't taste as well, right? So it's the chef that puts it all together, and understands what the end component is, and someone can take a really fancy steak and make it bad, right? Or not as tasty, right? And so that's what you gotta understand. Yeah,
I mean it is definitely a combination, and I think we learned that from these shirts that you actually have on right now. I mean, it's that particular brand, that particular style. It wants you to. Maybe it makes you want to put that shirt on.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you feel comfortable in it, and we did get that. We they would look at the design, and I'm not saying they didn't like it or anything, but they'd go back and they'd grab it and they're like, oh man, this feels really nice. So a lot of times I think they bought it because they thought the shirt felt good.
Yeah.
And maybe they liked the design, maybe they didn't, but at the end of the day, for us it's like they're still wearing it.
That's right, yeah.
And they're still out there, pushing that. And that's the cool thing, man, to be out there, to be able to see, and it's still, makes me happy or whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, but to be able to go to Houston and see somebody wearing your shirt, your brand, they spend that money that they earned on something that you made, man. And that is just pretty darn cool, to be able to see that decals in the back of a shirt, of a truck or whatever, man, to be able to see that. And what makes me even happier is when my son points it out. He's like, oh, like that, there's your brand. And now that is our brand, son. Like, this is us, and it's cool. And some of his friends, will have it. Or some of his friends will go with a shirt on. And he's like, "Oh, that's my dad's," and the friend's like, I mean, he's in fifth grade. He's like, "No, it's mine," but he's like, "No, that's my dad's brand." He's like, "Oh, really?" My daughter just recently went through that. A couple of basketball players showed up with a 7 Day Addiction shirt. He's like, "Oh, that's my dad's shirt." It's like, what do you mean? My dad owns that brand. He's like, "What?" Like, it's cool. Like, it's cool to see. Like, man,
it's really cool and it's really exciting. Like you go to places here in town and you see people wearing your stuff, and sometimes it's one of our unique designs. Sometimes it's like even wearing like a lot of the city basketball things, right? Like that they're wearing around, and part of we sponsor some of those things.
yeah.
And they'll see our logo on there, and a lot of the kids know, like, oh, this is 7 Day Addiction. And it's really cool to see this sort of stuff around.
I mean, just to see. I mean, just recently. I mean, the one we did for the university, man.
Oh yeah,
that one was awesome, bro. That one was awesome. And again, obviously here from the Valley, you kind of dilute how big a D1 college or university is, man. But this is a D1.
Real, like,
oh yeah, for sure. And this is a D1 university, and to see your brand on their backs, man, it was just really darn cool to see. Yeah, it's something that just kind of it gives you that that validation of like, okay, we're doing something right.
We're doing something right. What it is, we're still trying to figure.
Yeah, exactly. We're just trying to see how we can do more of it.
We're trying to see more of that. Yeah.
But yeah, so going back to Houston, man, and I think one of the biggest things that I got out of it is it is important to go out there, because I've had some people ask, is it worth it? And it's not always going to be, like you said, is it worth it, monetarily? But more than anything, it is worth it to kind of get the brand and grow the brand out there. This is, like they say, it's not a sprint. This is definitely a long run. And I don't know. Of course, there are some companies who literally became successful overnight, but that's not a very common story. But we're going on, 6 years here total or something like that. 4 as a brick and mortar together as partners, I think 6 as individual brands. But I think it's definitely going to, go get in a different level here in the next 2-3 years. Man, I feel it, and it's one of those things. And I think you've said it about even a year or 2 years ago. It's like we're that one step, man. We just haven't gotten it there.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure. I think we're taking like micro steps now, right?
Yeah.
But so we're getting there, one step at a time. But like part of it is like we just got so many things on our plate, right?
Yeah.
And try to figure out is like you got all this like stuff, and like, okay, where do I chip at it first, and where do I put my attention at, right? And that's what we're honing in on and trying to figure out, how do we do more of the stuff that's really successful, and some of the stuff that may not be as successful financially is just as important, right?
Yeah.
It's just like you talked about, like the Houston show, right? Like you go to that and you do well at it, but it's not you're not by any means being fully successful at that, but it's part of chipping away. It's part of building that equity, and it's the long game that you're playing.
That's the beauty of it. I mean, with the way we have the company set up, it's not just one. And sometimes it's beneficial to have just one, but I think the way we have it, it's very beneficial to have more than one because they all kind of correlate with each other. It may be a different brand. We have a tackle brand, we have an apparel brand, we have a rod brand, but they all end up coming back to the same thing.
Yep.
And that's one thing that going to Houston also helped us is kind of introduce these rods, and that's one thing I want to talk about as well is, we kind of changed our mindset of what we wanted to do, and then we did it. And so now we have these rods that we're really, really pushing. And I won't mention, where we'll be here in the next week or so. We did pick up a new store today. And I think it's really exciting. Every time you pick up a new store, it's always awesome. But they gave us the opportunity to have our rods in there as well. And I think that's big, for us to be able to cross the checkpoint and have our rods in a different area and be able to do that. And again, I think we sat down and we kind of talked about how we can get these rods, because one thing I kept hearing over and over again is that, one day I'll buy a Apollo rod, and I know, we had a price high rod, but again, I think, especially if you come through our class, exactly why they're priced at that price, because it does take some time to make each rod individually, to take the time to do all that, and to be able, you have to price the rod. So, we've been able to do something that we can now have a pretty reasonable priced rod. 3 rods, that are pretty reasonably priced. And I think over there, people would pick it up, and I love one guy picked up the rod, and he's like, man, this is what, like $200-$300 rod? And I'm like, oh, it's $140. He's like, what? And that was really cool to hear that not only is it the price that's going to be, attractive, but before he even saw the price, he liked the way it felt.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. That's kind of what we wanted to achieve is like, we can't just find a way to make a rod less expensive and sacrifice the quality.
Yeah,
and I think we got to that point. Hopefully you guys will agree with us, here with that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we, we're honing in on our salados, which is our entry level rod, which is 140. We've got our compadre, which is still by far our most popular rod, and we got those here right now at 175. Actually, all our rods are on sale right now here at the shop, so anybody wants to come by. But we also have the Negros too, which are kind of still finessey. I got a lot of carbon fiber grips on there, premium guides, and so forth for 200. So yeah, we've done a few things to help us be able to do that. But our goal is to just try to get help people do what they want to do on the water, right? Help them catch more fish, help them do the things they enjoy doing.
Yeah, number one, I mean, for sure. But it's one of those things where, and again, I'm not dogging Academy or Bass Pro or anything like that, but they have some really good rods as well, from companies who they retail, But it is one of those things where you do pick up a custom rod or a rod that's built by, and again, not just ours. There's a lot of custom rods out there, and when you pick it up, you will notice a difference. You will know like, oh wow, like this is a different feeling rod. So you are going to pay a little bit of a premium, But again, for us, it wasn't like we didn't want to make it unachievable to go and think about buying a $300 rod. I mean, if you're somebody who goes fishes every weekend or is a guide or whatever, hey, that's part of your job. That's part of your true addiction. Then you're gonna pay that $300-400. But some people want to try it and then they go, I don't want an $80, $20 rod, $30 rod from Academy. But I also don't want to buy a $300 rod that I'm not gonna enjoy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna enjoy.
And so I think we've gotten there, man. So we're really, really excited moving forward. Not only the next couple of months, man, but to me, and we talked about it, man. I'm fired up for that Hunters Expo.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be big for us.
It's gonna be really, really big for us. I think you guys are gonna see something that we haven't done or that we haven't been able to offer to you guys in the rods and in the shirts and everything. I think there's a lot of different things that are gonna happen from here to then that you're really gonna benefit from. And I hope you benefit from it. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. But yeah, I think that's going to be a big one,
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to the Hunters Expo. So like every time you do one of these shows, you learn a little bit about like yourself, your brand, your entity, like your plans and your intent. And like the Houston show, like I learned a lot about ourselves too, right? So, when we're in there, like Fabian and I, we started talking about, okay, like what's our setup going to be? And so like, well, like early in the morning when like there wasn't really a lot of people, I started sketching things out there, started mapping things out. Okay, maybe we can do these things different, right? And to get things better out there. But definitely like you continue to learn, you continue to grow, and like I'm really excited about what we came up with for the McAllen show and what we want to do. Part of those conversations, also trying to figure out what we're going to do with the store, right? So we go one of the things we wanted to do with this or this fishing show was walk around and try to get a better understanding of what products we want to carry in the store and what we do, what do we want to do more of and what do we want to do less of. And like for me, it's like we're not going to be Academy, we're not going to be even like hook, line, and sinker, right? We're not going to have that amount of stuff. We're going to have a lot of the consumable stuff, a lot of the things that you need right before you're going to go out fishing. You want to come out the day before, whether it's your lures or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of the consumable type things and going on that. So. We're working on trying to improve our what we have and try to free up some shelf space to make room for that space. We did talk to the guys at Everlust, and they're going to help us out here. Billy's going to do really well and get set up. But if you guys have any thoughts or ideas and things that we need to carry that like, hey, these are really the day-to-day type things that we need, then let us know so we can carry them.
Yeah, I know we talked about jig heads and stuff like that, and we do obviously we own STX tackle, and we do have our own jig heads, but I think also giving people the opportunity to try others, was something we talked about. And
we're doing it.
3J was it Salty Head was one that somebody recommended and said, hey man, you might want to carry those. And again, the great guy,
JRZ, we got the down south jig heads as well too.
Yeah, and down south, did we order those
we got them. Yeah, we got them here already. Yeah.
So he has a pretty good jig head as well, and of course JRZ also does. Yep. So excuse me, it's one of those things where we do want to. Again, carry a little more product, for you guys, but at the same time, we don't have the shelf space, that hook, line, and sinker has, that LCD has. We just don't have that amount of stuff because we do also retail a lot of stuff for the city, and then of course the university wall that we have. So it's a little bit. We have to be very mindful, but at the same time, we are listening to, hey, you might want to get this, you might want to get that, because again, at the end of the day, if we don't sell it, well, there's no point in carrying it. So we're going to carry what you all want.
So we still have a fly wall, but we need to move some fly products.
Yeah.
But we did get we did get a few more. We did get a few more fly products at this fishing show. So I personally go and the one that goes out there and gets it. So we found some few products to add to our fly wall. So, but there's maybe 7 or 10 guys out there that are really into it that come in and get it. So we expanded and stuff for y'all there.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool to actually know what that was. I did go through our own fly tying class, and Sam's like, "Hey, I got these." I'm like, "Oh shit, those are eyes. I know that now." And before I didn't know what the hell those things were, but it does seem like we have a few people who are into that stuff and they like it, man. So it's cool to be able to offer that. It's a different type of fishing, obviously. So it is pretty exciting to be able to offer that type of product. Like you said, talking to Billy and seeing the Everlast type of stuff, there was a few things that we definitely wanted to carry in here, and hopefully we'll get that in here pretty soon. And of course, with JRZ and some of his new stuff that he's going to be coming out with, we'll definitely be calling and talking to him and say, hey, man, let's kind of get that stuff going. TNT, obviously, one of the hot items right now as well. Really well. We have Albert stuff, and they have been selling pretty good, man. So we're pretty excited. So we'll probably be, restocking some of the ones that have sold more of, and talking to him to stop adding colors, man. We're going to have the whole thing on your own.
Well, that's part of like the shelf space, right? It's like there's so many colors out there associated with stuff, and so you got to, how do we make more space for all these colors? And so
but it is cool, man, to be able to see and not only support them, but they're also supporting us. I do hear people going out there and talking about what we do, what we offer, and again, one of the biggest things, obviously, we just have the service to be able to make shirts, to make caps, and make embroideries and screen print and stuff like that. And it's just pretty cool to be able to offer that to the community and to the angling community. I mean, a lot of our, friends or whatever, are going to need some of this services. So, it's cool to get recommendations from these other brands as well.
Yeah. And the other thing that I heard a lot about was a lot of people are asking us when the next rod building class is. So apparently, actually, it was really cool, to see Brandon up in Houston. So he went to a rod building class and he started selling rods, and he's done really well for himself. And he was actually up in the Houston Fishing Show. Him and Mike, his dad, were out there selling rods as well too. So it's cool, to see that. And they had some people from Houston that were asking us, "Hey, we've seen your stuff out there. When's your next class?" Some guys from Austin said the same thing too. So we do got some classes that we're planning. I'm thinking that, two things. I guess I'll provide some visibility of kind of what I'm thinking right now. It's not firm yet, but we'll let you guys know. You'll see it online. But definitely thinking about a rod class in May. In-house, in-store same type of thing that we did. One thing that I want to play around with, and I'm really interested to see what people think about this, but it's it's more of a free rod building class, but it's virtual.
Yeah.
So what that means is you buy your supplies, you buy everything right whenever you want, and you're at home, and we're doing a video like this. And we're walking through the entire process of building your rod, right? Except that you're buying your supplies, you're doing everything out there, and we're showing you how to build rods. Yeah. And so it's different, right? Because when you come into the shop, everything's provided for you. You don't have to come anything with your hand. But doing something online like that would be, I think it'd be really cool. I think people would be able to see it. They'd be able to kind of get into it, and they'd be able to, you can do whatever you want. You can do it from anywhere you want. You can come back and do it later once you get your tools and whatever you want. And so for me, I'm really playing around with that idea, and I really think if we get enough traction around that, maybe even going ahead and doing it sometime either late May or early June.
I know we had talked about that, about a couple of years ago, and doing that, and to me, we do get some type of I don't want to say negative feedback, but we do get some people saying man, you're creating this competition for yourself and stuff like that, and that's the thing that you and I have talked about. It's it's one of those things where you love it enough to where you want to show people how to do it, man. And it's cool, when I learned how to do it, and you build your first rod, it's just a really, really cool feeling. And I think it's not easy to make a business out of it, but it's cool to have people out there saying, hey man, you taught me how to do this. Yeah. And not only that, we get emails all the time just for that video that you made of teaching how to, make a rod decal, and I get so many calls like, hey, are you the guy that did? Like, no, I'm not the guy. I can't help you, man. So I give them Sam's number. But it's so cool to be able to be that person who helps somebody gain a passion or a love for something, like that kid. I'm not saying we did it, but he came in and learned a little more. And now he's out there at the Houston Fishing Show, man. You're talking about not even a few months later, bro.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing is that to have that, happen, and and I don't want to say on our dime, but on our time, that's really cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, he paid for the class, he got the learning, right? And that's part of what comes with the class is the know-how, right? The reality is that like anybody who has the will to build rods, they can learn relatively easy, right?
Yeah.
You can go to a class. We offer them. Mudhole offers them. A lot of different folks offer them. You can learn it completely online. It's all piecemealed across different parts of the internet, right? You can go to YouTube and you find like we got to do this. We're thinking about expanding that and doing like a single class that allows us to do everything all at once, right? That you can kind of follow us through the entire process along the way. But I don't think it generates any it doesn't impact us negatively in any way. I think the reality is most of the folks that come to this class have an interest in doing it. They're going to do it one way or another, and why not let us help facilitate it?
Yeah, and again, like you said, I mean, and that's what any business is relationship based. And you're creating not only a relationship, but you're creating a network. And it's so awesome, man, to be able to think of an idea, to think about something, and be able to go through your phone book or whatever it is on the phone, and look to your contacts and have somebody who's going to help you out. Because at one point or form, you help them out.
Yep.
And now you have this amazing network of people who, because a lot of people come in here and they have their own business or they do something of importance, so to speak, and you can kind of tap into them, and it's cool. It's cool to see that. I mean, and we've had game wardens come through here. We've had DPS come through here. We've had, just different lawyers, just several different type of people come in here, and now we're friends with them.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of these classes.
You build relationships with folks, and relationships matter more than anything else.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we learned that from the beginning. It's like, and you always said that it's like it's not just a one-time transaction. It's a very long transaction. It's one of these transactions that's not going to end. So
yeah, so yeah, like, and that's one thing about like that I just learned. Like you can if you sell something, you can do it transactional, which means that it's at one point in time where there's something that was sold or good, and it ends, or you can build equity, right? And ideally you build both, but equity is something that goes on forever. It pays, it compounds and over time, and for me it's the right way to do it, and that's why like even rods, like for me it was the same thing too, right? And I talked about this one time, was around like you build a relationship with someone, and you want to maintain that relationship. And if you look at so I've built rods before in the past, and people break rods, right? It happens to everybody has a broken rod, and it's at the end of the day it's a broken rod. What are you going to do about it? Like, it can't be fished, right? And so you have a customer here that you have a relationship with, and the question is, how much do you want to further invest in that relationship to do that, right? And sometimes it means taking a loss on the next transaction, right? So I'm gonna replace this rod for you, at this cost or no cost, whatever it is, right? Depending on the specifics of that relationship.
Yeah.
And then you lost on that transaction, but it's a long game, and that relationship you have with someone means a lot more than an individual transaction. Yeah,
and sometimes you don't even know it, man. You don't even know that you're, I mean, because you don't go into a conversation thinking, oh, I'm going to get something out of it. It's just one of those things where you do something that you thought was right, and,
right.
At the end of the day, it comes back. Being a good person, yeah, that's it. And it comes back to you, and it's really cool to, and it's cool, and it's sometimes I feel embarrassed because, they'll come in and like, hey, remember we did this? Like, no, but they did, and then they did, and it was really cool, and especially with kids, man. There was one kid, and I don't even know his name, but he had a cool mullet, and he came up, and the kid had a wad of money in his backpack, man, and I don't know what cap it was that he bought, and he takes out his money and he starts counting it or whatever. And I say, hey, man, you know what? I can't charge somebody with that cool mullet. Oh man, his eyes lit up, man. And he's like, "Are you serious? You can just take it, man. You gotta promise me you wear it. You gotta promise you wear it fishing." And the kid was so.
Maybe now everybody's gonna show up at that hunting.
Yeah, no shit with a mullet.
So the best mullet, I guess I'll get a hat.
Yeah, no shit, but yeah, this kid was just cool, man. And so it's one of those things where I hope I see that kid in a year or two, that I will remember, because I remember his mullet.
And he'll remember you. Like,
and that's the thing is like, man, this kid can. And after he left, and as excited as he was for a cap, like I'm thinking that this kid can be the next, Van Dyke in the freshwater fishing world. You don't know, especially with young kids, and it's really cool for them to react that way for a cap or a shirt, and that's what makes me like smile, man. It's like they want to wear your brand, and they liked it. They were fired up about it, and it's just cool. And hopefully, I'll see that kid again next year or two. But it's really,
he'll
really
be
cool.
taller than both of us.
Yeah, no shit, man. That's not gonna take long. But moving for the next thing that we're gonna do, man, it's two things that we're gonna do. But we are gonna go to Fiesta Edinburgh. We'll be here next week. I haven't told Sam, our manager, that he's probably gonna cover me for a little bit. But my daughter, my daughter has a TrackMan Laredo. But we'll see we'll work that out later. But we're going to be there in Fiesta Edinburgh next weekend. We are going to have some shirts. We're going to have some stuff definitely on sale. And just so you guys know, the stuff on sale isn't stuff that's been worn or anything like that. It's at the price it is, guys, because we've had it for a while. These are designs, and these are the reason that we kind of changing our mindset. I had a mindset of, like, that design didn't work, let me make another one. And then you make another one. So we have a lot of shirts that we made. Some of them hit, some of them didn't.
What goes to, like, even we talked about earlier, right? Like, you make 3 or 4 or 5 designs, and one of them hones in, and like, hey, we're going to focus on this one, and these other 4 we're not going to focus on moving forward. So it's part of that as well. Yeah,
no, and so a lot of these shirts are, obviously they're brand new. That's why I call them new old stock, and they're basically old designs that we had, but they're brand new shirts, and we just kind of want to make some shelf space, man. And we just had there's a lot of ideas that we have here. We want to grow the UTRGV.
UTRGV stuff's growing really well.
Yeah, and we need to grow it, man. We need to make sure, and we talked about it.
Every day someone's in here looking for UTRGV stuff.
And we just need to keep up with the demand when it comes to like the new stuff, the new fresh stuff. And so because of that, we are going to make some room here in the shop. So we're doing away with a few designs that weren't as popular, but hey, you might like them, and for $5-10, I think it's gonna be a good buy. Yep. So we'll have a lot of that stuff there at Fiesta Edinburgh, which is next week. I think Josh Turner and Pat Green are gonna be there.
Green,
so that'll be a good one, man.
I didn't know Pat Green was gonna be there.
Yeah, no, definitely some drinking music right there.
Man, I'm gonna be at work. I was telling you, like Pat Green reminds me, like when I was like in college. Like I remember the first concert I went to. I didn't even know who Pat Green was. Like I grew up here in the valley, and I was listening like. The only thing I knew about country music was, Garth Brooks, George Strait, whatever. And I get down to College Station one weekend, and like my first weekend there, and my roommates were like, "Hey, we're gonna go do CPAC. We're gonna go see Pat Green." I said, "Who's Pat Green?" Like, don't worry about it. You're coming with us. And so I go with it, and like I remember, like the very first song he played that night was "Carry On," and just like the way it starts, right? And like every time I hear that song, it takes me back to being 18 or 18, I guess at the time. But like, man. I'm sad I'm going to miss that now. I have to go back to work on Monday.
So he'll be here, man. So we're going to have that, that event there. But the big one that I want to talk about, and just to kind of get people prepped up, I haven't put a flyer out or anything. We just had a meeting yesterday with the city of Edinburgh, which is Brandon, who heads up the Burden Center. So last year we did an outdoor expo in conjunction with the World Birding Center, or with the city of Edinburgh. And it went really well. I think Brandon clocked in about 3,500 people at that event. So it was a really, really successful event of people coming in. So we're going to do it again. So it's going to be an outdoor expo. So I'm throwing this out there to make sure if any vendors want to come out here, it's absolutely free to the vendors, absolutely free to the public. There is no cost. I think the vendors, I might ask for a product or two because we're giving away things throughout the entire event. It's a short event, but I think it's long enough. So it's a 12 to 3 event. We're also going to have, the event not only is an outdoor expo, but it's also a fishing tournament. So it's a free fishing tournament. Obviously we want to encourage kids to come out there with their families, whether it's moms, dads, or both. Last year, man, it was really, really cool to see moms out there, for whatever reason. Obviously, we know how relationships go, but it was a mom and then their kids and out there fishing. And a lot of the moms were raising their hand, like, hey, can you help us? Like, we have no clue what's going on here. So we would go on and kind of teach these kids, how to fish. It was really cool to see, I think last year a family kind of wiped out the first, second, and fourth place. And they all caught, some pretty nice fish, so they all won, decent products. We gave away a rod for first place, and then second place was different stuff. But we're still going to have that. We're still going to have the rock wall. We're still going to have some wildlife shows. I think one of the wildlife people is going to be out there with snakes and all this different stuff. One of the big ones that we're gonna have there this year, the newer ones that we're gonna have is a Jeep show. So STX Outlanders, I believe, is the name of the Jeep club, is gonna be out there with us, and they're gonna do basically a Jeep show. It's kind of like a car show, but it's just gonna be all Jeeps, and we're really really fired up with that. I am a Jeep guy myself. Unfortunately, mine doesn't work, but we are gonna have some major Jeep guys. I'm hoping these guys can help me make mine work. But that's gonna be really really cool. It's at about 90% sure that we're gonna have some of the UTRGV athletes out there that are going to be the judges of this Jeep show. I know I talked to the girls basketball, and they're pretty sure they're going to be out there. But again, I just need to get a head count. Talk to Coach Simmons from the football program, and he's going to definitely have or try and get some coaches out there and maybe some of the players. Excuse me. But it's going to be a cool event, man. That is March 23rd. 12 to 3 is going to be the event. We're going to have the judging or the awards of the Jeep show at around 2:15, and then we're going to have the final awards at about 2:45 for the fishing. Free to everybody. Like, there is no cost for anybody. We're trying to get some food trucks out there. We're trying to get some, just different things. I need to call a guy and see if we can go out there and maybe play about an hour of acoustic music.
Mr. Red.
Yeah, we would have got Mr. Red.
Thank you, Mr. Red.
But yeah, man, it's gonna be a really really cool event. So you guys kind of mark your calendar, March 23rd. Any guides? Any real? No, not to say real. Any avid fishermen that are free that weekend? Please come out and just let us know that if you can make it out there. I'd like to see if we can make a shirt for everybody who's helping with the kids. Just because it is, man, it's cool just to walk around that lake. And I talked to the city, they are going to give us about 2 or 3 golf carts so we can just be driving around and, seeing who needs help. I think that's a really, really important thing. And again, just one of those things to kind of raise awareness on the lake, raise awareness on the park, and just raise awareness on going outdoors, man. I think somebody said it one time, put down the Xbox and pick up a tackle box. I don't know if they have Xboxes anymore or not, but
maybe.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the idea is kind of get these kids fired up about fishing, get them fired up about the outdoors, and just kind of being outside. So that is coming up March 23rd, about a good month and a half away. So mark your calendars on that. And then after that, of course, we're going to have some rod building classes, and then, of course, the Hunters Expo. But, yeah, we want to come on here and kind of give you a little recap of Houston, kind of talk about the new stuff that we have going on, and, to tell you what we got coming up. So that's pretty much what I got, man.
Yeah, definitely. You hit all the nails there. So
cool deal.
Everybody's time here.
But yeah, no, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Those of y'all who did, I think we'll have one here in the next couple of weeks again, maybe even next week. Kind of talk about a few topics that are coming up.
Well, Jerry did say he was going to come, so
there you go.
You got to hold him to it, right? Like Jerry said, "Hey, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it." It actually was his idea. I didn't even have to ask.
Yeah, no, I think having Jerry on, man. I mean, again, and he always used the word innovative, and I didn't know why. I was like, it's a bait, bro. But shit, man, when he told me how he does a lot of this stuff, I was like, God damn, dude. Like, that's pretty innovative. So Jerry has some very, very good ideas, man, and he's a very, very, smart guy. So I think having him on here to kind of talk about his baits would be really cool.
Yeah.
And just kind of, and of course, he's not going to give you all the secrets to it or whatever, but I mean, at the end of the day, just knowing a little bit of the knowledge that goes behind it, it just gives you that better appreciation of these baits, man, for sure. And
the other person that said he'd be up for it was Bossy. So
there you go.
So Bossy said he's going to be doing some fishing down here pretty soon.
Yep.
Coming up, so we'll try to get it.
Yeah, I think TTB invited us to that tournament that they're having here pretty soon. Is that the one? Yeah. So maybe we might have to force ourselves to be on the water. I don't know, man. I haven't been out of the water since August.
One of the coaches from UTRGV.
Oh, yeah. So definitely like man. See, that's why we did this, right?
Yep.
We got a lot of people out here, right? Like we got a lot of people. Like we got the whole setup here, and like part of you come into the shop, you see this, and you see the microphone on the table. A lot of people ask, and we do a lot of stuff for the university too. And some of the football coaches and track coaches are coming in here and asking, "What's this for?" And we tell them what it's for. Like, "Oh, we'd like to come out here and talk about something." So let's.
I would love to have some track coaches. That's my love, man. Especially my daughter doing that. I would love to kind of pick their brain. I mean, these guys are, again, they're a D1, Division I university, man. And, that's another level of athleticism and knowledge that these guys have. And the university stuff is just so cool, bro. Like, to to have these people come in here and talk to us. And I always talk sports with them, and I try and pick their brain a little bit. And they're always willing to kind of give you their knowledge. And but again, having 2 kids, and hopefully you kind of throw that in there. I was a coach for a few years, and I wasn't the greatest coach, but kind of knowing and having the knowledge that they have, and to hopefully incorporate into your own kids is really, really cool. But to have them out here and kind of talk would be awesome, man.
Hell yeah.
So hopefully we can have them. I think closer we get to 2025, I really, really want to have Coach Bush out here, man, and have him talk about what this is bringing. And I think that's the thing, that the reason we have to do this a little more often is to kind of grow the channel, or podcast, however you want to call it. It gives it a little bit more legitimacy, and to have these coaches out here to come and talk on the platform. One thing I do want to do going into next year is talk to some high school coaches. And high school football is huge, man. And again, that's another relationship we have. We have a lot of good relationships with a lot of head coaches.
We got all the helmets here. Actually, we're missing PSA North, so PSA North. Come on.
I talked to Coach Valdez. I'm calling you out, man.
We're waiting on you. So we got one spot for you left. So,
but yeah, man. I think having these type of things, and I'll throw it out here again. I did last time. If you have a business that you want to promote, you want to talk about, I mean, shit, we'd love to talk about it.
We used to do it like during COVID, like remotely.
Yep.
Like we used to like talk to everybody out here, but now we've got like the setup where we can, have an in-person conversation about it.
Oh, for sure. I think it helps, man. And again, I think I like doing this because, a lot of people, I think Victor was one of the first ones that told me, man, when I first saw you, I thought you were a jerk and an ass, man.
Oh, it's because you kind of are.
A little bit, but I think after you get to know each other, man, and you get to kind of see our other side of, we like to joke around a lot, man. We do, and we like to have fun.
We're all human,
I mean, I could be mean sometimes, but it's all in good fun for me.
For me,
but
not for my kids.
It's one of those things where people get to see the other side of us.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
I can't be talking like this when a customer walks in. Like you got to be a little more professional sometimes. But again, I appreciate you all kind of tuning in, man. We'll be here in the next couple of days or weeks, and see what else we talk about. Hopefully Victor will make it out. He said he had a fish fry with Albert, so whatever. I guess he likes Albert.
We're here because we didn't get invited to a fish fry.
No shit,
I guess it's really like why we're sad. That's why. Like when we can't go to the fish fry, we might as well just go live.
So I know we said we were gonna get some more TNT, but I don't know. we don't get invited to the fish fry. So. But again, guys, till next time, we'll see you guys, man. I really appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great one.
All right, thanks, guys.